how, oh, okay. And they give a lot of nice description, in my opinion. So I definitely make sure that the kids read through all of this, because everything is kind of important in every lab that you encounter. And all of these have been gone through. All the 1 through 3 units have all been updated. And then unit 4 is they've all been gone through. Both Nancy and I went through a bunch of the labs, because a lot of them, they don't keep them updated on US Cyber Range, but they have been updated. Nancy and I went through and updated ones that weren't working and put in supplementary material that we thought was needed, things like that.
When you say they weren't upgraded on Cyber Range, are you saying that the presentation is located somewhere?
Well, so in Cyber Range itself, there are a whole other set of labs that you can choose to use. So the ones there, I don't think there's anybody maintaining them there. I think people create the labs, create the lessons, and then they don't go back to make sure that the labs are still, still work essentially. But Melissa and her team go through all of the ones that Teach Cyber uses and make sure they're still working, make sure the environments they've been up, some of the environments have been updated. And so some of the labs don't work with those newer environments anymore, like things like that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So on this one, are you guys doing this one this week? Are you guys going to be doing the Linux this week?
I haven't created a course yet, and
Okay,
so
gotcha.
I don't think I will get to, because they're taking the test on unit 2 tomorrow. I'm on block schedule, so I only have them every other day.
Okay.
So I have them tomorrow is the test, then we'll start unit 3. And then I have them again. I have them for 90 minutes. I have them again on Thursday. So
Okay.
So maybe on Thursday, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you can get to, because this is the first presentation here. This one goes pretty fast, and this actual lab itself goes pretty fast as well, in my opinion, just because there's not a whole lot to it. So let's do this one together. Sorry to switch from the old to the new, but I'll leave this up here so you can see it as well. So let me get here. So on this one, we're going to do, and they tell you exactly what to turn in as well. So I actually have my kids read through the whole lab first, and then we kind of discuss the plan is, what it's going to do, and just so they know what they're going to end up submitting at the end. So I have them go through all the way down. So read through the questions they're going to be submitting, or a lot of times it's screenshots in this class. In this case, you're actually just answering questions. And so they know as they go what to look for and what to make sure that they understand. So, okay. So on this one, we're just dealing with, so we're just doing PWD. Oops, sorry. I do not have that side-by-side thing on a Mac. Anybody know how to do that on a Mac? On a PC, it's so nice and easy to do it side-by-side. Do you know what I mean? Where it clicks in.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it.
I use a program called Magnet that.
Oh, really? On a Mac?
Yeah.
Oh, it's called Magnet. Okay, I have to look that up.
It's in the App Store, but it costs a little bit of money.
Okay, I'll just keep that there so I remember. Let's see. So yeah, here you're given which environment you're going to use. Have them read through it or read through it as a class together, and kind of discuss, what is the point of this particular lab? What's the outcome? The potential outcomes of this lab. What are you trying to your objectives? And then look at what it's looking for at the end, and then kind of go through step by step, and then we go over it as a group after everybody's completed it as well.
Beth, I'm sorry, Beth, just so you know, we don't see the lab that you're talking. I mean, we see the terminal, but we don't see the.
Oh, probably because, oh yeah, I have to go this way then. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. Okay, will this stay up here for me?
I want to see you cut and paste.
Oh, yeah, cutting and pasting is a pain in the butt. Let's see, okay. Let's see. If I can just keep my screen up there, would be nice. So, well, copying and pasting you have to do in here. Well, Shift Control C, which I always forget with the shortcut to control copy and paste within the actual terminal itself. So Shift Control C. Is that what you're talking about? Doing it that way?
Oh, we were trying to do a copy and paste from the lesson documents into the virtual machine, and we could never do that
Oh,
because some of those things are pretty long to type in.
that is true. Okay, that's a good point. Let's see. Let's do something like this. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. So it did if I just copied it like normal on my Command C on the document outside of the virtual machine. And then I did the Command Shift V to paste it in. Oh, I'm probably not in the right directory. Does that make sense?
Now, how did you get that to paste?
So I did Command Shift V, which is the shortcut for, or Control Shift V, sorry, that is the shortcut for paste. Or I could have just pasted it in using the edit menu.
But that
Did that work for you?
well, I don't have any courses set up.
Oh,
So that was able to copy from an external document into here?
I was, yeah.
Okay, and so what did you do to cut to a copy from the document?
So I just did regular Command, I'm on a Mac, so I just did a regular Command C,
Okay, and then here you did a Control Shift B,
V,
or V as in Victor.
yeah. Or I could have, let's see if it just works if I do the menu. Can I just paste it in here? Yeah, I can just do the menu as well.
Wow, okay, we couldn't do that when we were going through the PD.
Did you try the menu or did you just try to do like Control V or?
I tried everything.
Okay. Well, try that when you get, can you try it on your, since you're in, are you in the environment right now?
I'm logged in, but I don't have any courses set up and I don't have any virtual machines I can access.
You're not in, you can't see my course?
No,
Oh, can nobody see my course?
No, I can't. Oh, wait. Oh, in the environment. Yeah, I'm in the course, but I can't see, like you're talking about doing a lesson. I can't see the lesson that you're talking about.
Oh,
I
okay.
just, yeah.
Are you able to get into this cyber basics and access the terminal? Okay.
Yeah, I'm in the terminal. Mhm.
Oh, okay. So John, are you able to do that?
no, says welcome and says you have no courses. Let's request one here.
Oh, so,
No courses available.
let's see. Sorry about that. I did not realize that. You didn't see that.
You know, I think they've been having trouble because somebody misspelled my email address.
Oh. Let's see. Instructor. I feel like I saw you in here, but maybe I didn't.
Even I'm having trouble. There we go.
Oh, yeah. So okay, let me do this. I'm glad you said something. So let's put you in.
Yeah, I'd like to see what the invitation looks like.
Can you tell me what your email is?
I put it in the chat.
Oh, you did. Okay. Oh, I got you. What does that say?
Violates your organization.
That's just because I guess you have a maximum number of TAs, so I'll just make you a student.
Yeah, there is a maximum number. So
Okay.
that is a problem for us sometimes.
So see if you got that email, if you would.
Beth, if you want to make me a student, so if TA has better access, that'll be fine since, I won't be using this anytime soon.
Okay.
Yeah, and one thing we've not figured out for sure, Beth, is if you're in twice as an instructor and also as a student, we're not sure how that interacts.
I'm actually in it, or I was in previously as both.
Uh-huh.
And one, it sometimes it would kick me out of one. It's not recommended, I don't think.
Yes.
Because it definitely, sometimes I didn't realize it would kick me out if I was in as a teacher, it would kick me out and suddenly make me a student. I used totally different emails and everything, but yeah, it didn't work out very well, in my opinion.
Yeah. So for those of you that aren't set up yet, if you're not set up as an instructor yet, I think we're trying to put you in as a student, but just keep in mind that there might be some problems if you have both roles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So Beth, this is Denise. I don't see my name on your list. Am I on there? Denise B Croft?
Oh, okay. No, I just, the people Melissa sent me info on, I put in, and so I didn't know.
Because I've got like a course.
Yeah, Denise, I think you are set up under my course. And
Oh, okay.
yes, Denise, you are. You're set up as a student, so you should be okay to go.
So I'm okay. All right.
Yeah, so for the folks that aren't yet teaching the course, maybe you're doing it in the spring. If you made the request, we set you up as either a student or maybe a TA in
Yeah,
one of
I'm a
yeah.
student.
Yeah, in one of our existing courses. That way you could get some practice time in.
Okay.
So John, it looks like you're in now. So are you able to see now, what you should see on your side is the DE Cybersecurity and Ethical Hacking Fall 2021. Do you see that?
Well, I'm waiting on it to start the virtual machine.
Oh, okay. So you were able to get in here. And so you're opening Cyber Basics now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, and these, I try to only keep open for that particular, I'm on a block schedule as well. So 90% of the time, I only give kids that time during class to play, to finish a lab. And I usually will then delete the environment, or minimally obviously stop the environment. And I'll show you how to do that at the end. Okay, so we're all in our Cyber Basics. Go ahead.
So Beth, are you about done? Because we're on.
Are we on the same? Are we in the same Zoom?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, because the folks that have all entered have joined in for the lab help session.
Oh.
Did Melissa send you this link?
Well, I'm on the second. I thought I clicked on the second link, the bottom one.
Oh.
That was for me.
Oh.
But did I do that in error?
I don't know.
I thought you were just popping in to say hi.
No, I was actually popping in to start the lab help session.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I'm sure some of the folks got some good information listening into you for the last few minutes. So you were working with Sue and Roger.
Sue and John,
Oh, Sue and John.
and Rosa.
And John, this is Mark from McNeil. So if you ever need help, like during the day or something, just shoot me an email or call.
Yeah, Mark is a great resource.
Yeah,
So
I'm just,
sorry about that, folks. I was just working with. I didn't realize we're all on the same Zoom.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out when I do the Control-Shift-V, it doesn't paste anything.
Yeah, copy and paste is a little wonky.
Well, so you guys can stay on and listen to, so Nancy's going to go over a Wireshark lab. So you guys can stay on. If you have any individual questions, you know, I'm sorry we didn't get to quite is everything that I was going to go through. But feel free to email me anytime, or I'm happy to jump on another one too as you guys get started in your classroom.
Yeah, is that all right with those of you that were on with Beth?
Yeah, that's fine. Thanks, Beth, so much for that much.
No
Yeah,
problem.
thank you, Beth. I appreciate it too.
Sure. Have a good day.
You as
You
well.
too.
Yeah, Beth is going to run two of the help sessions this year. So she'll be back with all of you.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yep.
One question I do have, should I just create one course for both sections or?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay,
That was
So-
good, Mark.
So I'll have 50 students. That would make sense to have it all in one.
Yeah, we'll save money as well.
I'm all into saving money. That's okay. with me.
I asked Jenny that same question a few weeks ago when I started doing it with students. And yes, and it's
Good.
fine.
Good.
Yeah, I think it's easier to manage just to have that one big group to look at.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, because I only see like 25 each time anyway. Not so bad.
I did that last year and I tried to set up 2 teams with my class. I had 2 classes and I had 1 course and I tried to set it up in teams, but the teams never really did anything. So it's just as easy to have just one course with all your students in it, even if you have 2 classes.
Yes, and Diane is our other master teacher in addition to Beth. So she's another awesome resource for those of you getting started. All right, so we're going to do Wireshark today. This is a new lab that we've added this year. Beth worked with me over the summer and we did some revising. And one of the things we talked about is that Unit 3 needs more networking content, that there's so many questions further down the road in units 4 and 5. And so we're going to try to resolve some of that by going a little deeper into unit 3. So unit 3 is going to introduce all those lovely acronyms and the OSI model. And we're going to do Wireshark so that students can actually see what a packet is. That was the purpose behind it. So I'm sharing a slide presentation that I created for teachers. All right, there's another slide presentation that goes with the lab when you teach it to your students. But this presentation is to give you some additional background information so you feel confident when you go into Wireshark. So these lab help sessions are just for invited teachers, the teachers that are being supported. We're going to try to keep the sessions just to an hour. Participation is strictly voluntary, and you should be able to access all of the resources on a shared Google Drive. I will tell you, if you have multiple Gmail accounts, when you click that link, you might get a content not available message, and that's because it's using the wrong Gmail account to try to get you into that folder. So just close that error message when you get it, and just make sure that you've got the appropriate Gmail account open, and then that will avoid that error. And if you want another email address to have access to that folder, just send me an email and I'll try to fix you up as best I can. So in there, you'll find the new Wireshark lab. There's a Word document and a PowerPoint. And I also put in there the entire new unit 3 in a zip file. The Teach Cyber Lab website is down right now. Our web hosting company got hacked. And all of their clients' websites are down. And they are figuring out, they primarily do websites through WordPress, and they think it's a problem with one of the WordPress plugins. And so they're doing maintenance on our site. And so if you don't have the new Unit 3, I put it in that Google folder. So just download the zip file and you'll have all of the new Unit 3. And I also put the Wireshark labs in there.
So it's in the Unit 3 2.1
Oh, yeah, it's
or
version
1.2.
Yes, version 1.2 is our versioning for the files and things that we've updated for this year so far. So I thought we'd take a few minutes and just quickly go around and introduce ourselves. So I'm Nancy Stevens. I know a few of you. I taught IT and computer science for 29 years, and I decided to leave the classroom, and I'm working part-time with Teach Cyber. Mark Emery is one of those folks who's still hanging in there. He's retired once, but he's down in Texas teaching. He's one of the folks that I've worked with over the years. And I know Sue. So I want to meet the rest of you. And Sabrina, who works with Teach Cyber, she's on with us tonight as well. So let's start with you, Sue O'Connell.
Okay.
Just introduce yourself, share whatever you'd like to share.
Sure. Sue O'Connell. I'm teaching all the computer science, including the cybersecurity at Chesterton High School in Chesterton, Indiana.
Oh, cool.
This is my 5th year teaching. I originally started just a few years ago, no, a long time ago, right out of college, teaching math. And then I went into software development for close to 25 years. And now I'm back in teaching, which I don't ask me why. But so again, this is my first time teaching cybersecurity. Most of my information was with working, doing the site visits for Gen Cyber. That's about as much exposure to cybersecurity as I've had. So,
Yes, I know Sue through Gen Cyber.
yeah.
All right, how about Sarah Putterman?
Hi, I'm Sarah. I teach in just outside Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. I've been teaching computer science. This is my 4th year, although I taught math for a really, really, really long time. My master's in computer science education is as old as the World Wide Web. Yeah, so I don't have a grant for the range. I was actually offered one, but I'm coming to these events anyway. And because I have a range coming from another source, but you were gracious enough to let me come in and hang with these events. So thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Ashley, how about you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Ashley Benitez Smith. I'm a computer science teacher at Brunswick High School in Brunswick, Maryland. So I was one of the Teach Cyber pilot teachers in Maryland last year. And so this is my 2nd year, and now we have the course materials in our advanced computing course, which is basically our introductory cybersecurity course. I don't have access to the range, but we also have a range that's being developed from a local college and our IT people in-house in FCPS. So that's kind of cool. And yeah, this is I just realized my 10th year of teaching total.
Congrats.
So yeah, I made it to year 10. But yeah, so I've done a few of these labs, and really excited to see the new Unit 3.
Good. Hey, Mark Emery, share with us.
Hi, everybody. I am Nancy's drinking buddy that lives in Austin, Texas.
Yep.
And hey, I think I'm going to go back to College Station this Saturday. Go see a game.
Oh, good for you.
Be my first A&M game. I've been doing this. This is my 30th year, and
Wow.
I'm getting those voices in the back of my head that says, you're done with this. And every time I do that, I get pulled back in. So, and it's usually kids. So that's, no, you can't do that. So, or one that I got surprised today. She's a freshman at Harvard this year.
Oh,
And she put together a video and gave it to this woman at Apple who I had introduced her to. And we didn't get to see it, John, but I think we'll see it soon. So I saw it. So, but pretty nice. She's a sweetie and very smart. But yeah, I teach in Austin, Texas, in Round Rock Independent School District. This last year, I was the assistant chief reader for the AP Computer Science Principals exam. And I got to find out that job is a fancy title that just means I have to do all the work that the chief reader doesn't want to do. So it's not very glamorous. So yeah, and I'm excited to be teaching cybersecurity again. I taught it in South Dakota for quite a few years. And I'm excited to do it again and learn everything from Nancy.
stay in high school. It keeps you young, Mark.
That's right.
Is it Randy Jones? Was that your first name?
No, Roger.
Roger Jones. Thank you. Sabrina
Yeah.
knew. Roger, introduce yourself.
I'm a teacher in Dover, New Jersey. And I've been teaching math through my career. This is my 25th year teaching. But I started out in Dover for a few years, and I went into industry, and I became a computer analyst and computer engineer, all that kind of stuff, you know, without a real computer education. So that was, you know, I learned it by whatever. And then I decided to come back into education. So I'm teaching in Dover again. Very happy. I've got, I teach cybersecurity. I teach computer science and robotics. So it's kind of a really broad spectrum of things that I do. I do have access now to the, cyber range. So I want to learn as much about that as possible right now, so I can actually present it to my students.
Ah, great. Thanks, Roger.
Thank you.
Matthew, you're next.
Hi, I'm Matt Pittner, and I teach in a suburb of Fort Worth. It's Keller, Texas, at the Keller Center for Advanced Learning. So it's a commuter campus. We pull from 4 high schools, and so we've got everything from auto tech, cosmetology to computer science in our building. And so I've got 4 different things that I teach this year. And so I'm trying to keep my brain straight, from Java to C# to Python. And, just all of it is a little bit new to me, but I do have a background in teaching the Cisco NetAcad. So.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's like you're teaching every foreign language.
It is. And it's, it helps me to be able to make the argument that the concepts, those are what matter. The syntax, we'll get there, but those concepts, those transcend whatever language you're in.
Yep. Thank you, Matt. Stephen, you're next.
Hi, I'm Steve Timmons. I teach at Santa Susana High School in Simi Valley, California, and this is my 2nd year teaching just ever. And yeah, my first year was during COVID.
Wow.
With 6-week terms, and they're like really condensed. And then yeah, for the 2nd year, I'm like, okay, well, everyone's on campus. And then I was trying to find, because I teach the one cybersecurity course, and then the rest are computer science. So I was trying to figure out how how to get something a little robust for cybersecurity. And that's how I found Teach Cyber. So now I'm here.
Ah, that's great, Steve. Deb Gray, you're next.
Hi, from Alabama. I live near Mobile and teach Alabama School of Math and Science. It's a boarding public school for the state, which makes it really fun. I just started teaching in 2015. I kind of transferred over from industry where I was more in double E and worked in the San Francisco Bay Area, doing stuff with computers that were used in manufacturing and engineering applications and test equipment. Anyway, I'm having a blast teaching. I got involved in cybersecurity through students that were interested in doing Cyber Patriots. And so I did that for a year or so with them and got involved in Capture the Flag competitions. I've got to admit, I feel like I know a lot of topics an inch deep because I started teaching CS only 3 or 4 years ago, and now I'm teaching CSP, CSA, and doing teacher development across the state for CSA, and was part of the pilot for Teach Cyber last year, and the resources were just amazingly helpful. I just loved the class collaborative activities, the labs, everything, and the cyber range is great. I got approval to do a 1-year cybersecurity class this year, and so we've just started. So I'm in the networking section right now. I took a little time out to do OS hardening and some Cyber Patriot stuff while we had access to the training images, and now we're working on this, and I'm just having a good time. One thing that would help me just in networking before I move on quickly, if anyone's got resources, is looking at the OSI model. If there was some way to think about what the vulnerabilities are by level in that model and talk about them, the kids would be really interested in that. That's an idea. And I know it's kind of an alphabet soup for all of them, and maybe a little bit more on TCP/IP and packets and how that works before we jump into this. Just a little bit of help. I just looked at the some of the PowerPoint that you have for this and the introduction to Wireshark. Those slides are great. Just setting the stage for what is it, why do we want it, who uses it, that kind of stuff is very helpful. Because again, I'm an analytical and I just can't do everything. It's like this inch thick and I just want to keep diving in. And so anyway, having a blast, and I'm looking forward to learning more.
Deb, that's a great ask in terms of the OSI model. So I made a note of that, and we'll see what we can come up with there. Sabrina.
Hello.
It's your turn.
Okay. I met some of you because you filled out an application for the US Cyber Range grant. So I've been able to meet and talk to many of you that way or through email. And some of you have known me from years past. I've worked with Dark Enterprises on the Gen Cyber project. So I'm relatively new to Teach Cyber, and I'm here tonight to learn because I've never used a cyber range before. So I am learning right along with you, and Nancy's a great teacher, so I'm ready to learn too.
Thank you, Sabrina. The amazing Diane is next. She's one of our master teachers.
I'm Diane Glasco. I teach in Maryland also. I know a couple other people said they did. Yeah, I pilot taught last year. I taught all of the first 5 units, and I don't know. I wrote software for 25 years before I, for some unknown reason, decided that teaching would be a good idea. And no, I'm kidding. I love what I do. I love teaching, and it was a great career change for me at the time. And so I've enjoyed working with the Teach Cyber curriculum last year. I had never taught cybersecurity before that, and it was just such a huge lifesaver for me. Yeah, so now I hope that being a master teacher, I can help some of you all along on that path as well.
Thanks, Diane.
Mm-hmm.
All right, John, you're next. You'll have to unmute yourself.
Oh, it clicked it and it didn't unclick.
Yep.
I'm John Hasty. I'm well, I taught last semester, so I'm a under 1 year teacher. I retired from IBM and they gave me a scholarship to become a teacher. And I was for a lot of years, I was a field consultant where I helped clients rebuild their sites after they were hacked. And I was also a performance analyst and various other roles. And I'm teaching at Round Rock High School, which is just north of Austin, teaching cybersecurity, mobile applications, and principles of IT. And this is my first time teaching cybersecurity, so it's interesting. I do consider myself a Linux guru. I used to live and die by the Linux command line.
Ah, well, you're well prepared then. Some of you know Beth, but Beth, I think, has one of the best teaching jobs of anyone I've ever met. So Beth, tell us about what you do.
Sure. Hello, everybody. I'm Beth Cerrone. And I always tell people I'm like in teacher nirvana. I have an awesome job. So I work at the Innovation Center in Longmont, Colorado. We're a little bit north of Boulder. And so we service all of the schools in my district, which range from up in the mountains in Lyons all the way out to some of the plains. Our district is pretty wide, and we have a lot of diverse populations here as well. So I'm creating a cybersecurity pathway at my school. And so right now we have an intro to cyber. I got into cyber. I'm actually a math teacher, as many of you are. And I'm also in my second career, as many of you are as well. But this is year 25 for me. I was a statistical analyst, was my first job. I worked in banking. And then that was the era of, yes, Oscar Blues. I love Oscar Blues. That was the era of the bank mergers in the mid 90s. And so I started looking for an alternative career path at that point and happened to find teaching. Well, both my mom was a teacher and my dad was an adjunct professor. So it was kind of a natural fit for me. And so kind of fell in love with it. And I've been teaching computer science for 17, 18 years, something like that. And now cyber for 4. So how I got into teach cyber, so we created our own curriculum here. There was a little cohort of teachers, and it just felt like it just took so much time and effort to find stuff that we liked. And then all of a sudden we came across Teach Cyber. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. We have this tool now. And it just saved so much time, and everything was already done for us, and it was wonderful. So that's how I got into Teach Cyber. I'm teaching ethical hacking this year. I'm teaching a Python and cyber class. We're adding a Linux and a forensics next year. And then I think we're going to I haven't figured out what my culminating class is yet, but it's going to be involve some sort of cert. But yeah, I have a great job, and I get to work with people like Nancy, and it's been awesome. So. Hello.
Hi. Thanks, Beth. Shelley Lockwood, can we hear from you?
Shelley Lockwood, at a high school in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I teach other computer science classes there, and this is my second year teaching cybersecurity, but I went to a Gen Cyber class, and they hooked me up with Teach Cyber, so I'm loving it so far. So.
Oh, good. Thanks, Shelley.
You're welcome.
Denise, you're next.
Hi, I'm Denise B Croft. I teach in Ogden, Utah. It's about 30 miles north of Salt Lake. I teach in a high school, and this is my 24th year of teaching. And today when I left school, I kind of questioned myself why I'm still there. It was a hard day. I teach 4 different subjects: web development, computer programming with Java, computer science principles, and cybersecurity. So I'm excited to find Teach Cyber. I was just desperately hunting for something, and this looked great. And I'm so thankful for all the help sessions. It's been terrific.
So I feel like everyone said, when you said you had a rough day. We've all been there.
Oh, yeah.
We have. So, wow. Well, thank you and welcome. And then Ms. Smith, I don't know.
Hi, I'm
Yep.
Yolanda Smith from San Antonio, Texas. I teach at Harlan High School. I am currently in my 5th year of teaching, and we are strictly, I guess I teach strictly cybersecurity. So I have all 4 grade levels now, 2 classes of sophomore, 2 of junior, 2 senior, and 1 freshman.
Yeah, because Texas has a pathway for cybersecurity, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys are in great shape in that state. A lot of folks are still working their way through that.
Yeah, so far it's been good. I'm on this is the 2nd year that I teach all 4 grade levels.
Okay. That's great. So you've got the progression in terms of how things connect from one subject to another.
Yes.
Yeah, or one level to another, I guess.
Mhm.
Well, thank you. We've got a lot of great experience here. And so, Steve, you're in good company now because you're just getting started. And hopefully you'll find the joy in it that the rest of us have found in the classroom. All right, so what we're going to do tonight is we're just doing one lab tonight. In some of the help sessions, we plan to go through 2 of them. I'm going to demo. You can follow along with the demo. If you're logged in, you can complete it on your own in the cyber range. It's up to you, but we are going to be in the cyber basics environment. We're going to jump to the actual Unit 3 document in just a few minutes, but I wanted to give you a little background information on Wireshark before we get going. So there's 4 lessons now in Unit 3, and Lesson 3 is about network fundamentals, and we devote some time to the OSI model and also the TCP/IP model. And we talk about these packets, and Wireshark is all about students capturing packets so they can see what it actually is. And so, a lot of kids take a cybersecurity class because they think it's about hacking. And then all of a sudden they realize they really have to learn some content. And Unit 3 might be a little bit scary and it might be a little bit difficult for some students. And so hopefully the Linux labs, there's 2 of those in this unit, and the Wireshark lab, will give them that hands-on stuff. And that's what we're trying to accomplish anyway. Make sure you can talk about why packets are important. Packets versus circuits comes down to some brilliant minds that were involved in the internet early on. If you've ever seen an old movie where the operator is connecting 2 parties so they can talk to each other, that was circuit-based technology where a cable actually had to connect so they could have that conversation. And there was a guy named Paul Baran who came up with the idea that with the internet, we could break things down into small little message blocks, he called them. And then it was Vint Cerf and Bob Kahn who came up with the TCP and the IP protocols. And that's the backbone of the internet. But it's the whole idea of taking messages, taking web pages, taking web content, and breaking it down into packets. And the packets don't have to arrive in the same order. They don't have to take the same route. And that's what makes the internet what it is. It's fast and it's scalable. A few facts about Wireshark. It is the most widely used network protocol analyzer. It is free to use because it's open source software. You can capture live packets on a network interface, or you can open up a packet file that already has packet capture data in it. You can import and export. You can filter. You can search for packets. It has a color coding system, so you can colorize packets. And it gives you some pretty detailed information once you start looking. It's not been around that long. It started off in 1997 as something called Ethereal. And the guy behind it, Gerald Combs, he was trying to solve a problem when he developed the software. He realized that there weren't a lot of tools for troubleshooting network problems. And so what eventually became known as Wireshark is what he started. And many people have contributed to Wireshark over the years. So it can capture lots of different traffic, including Bluetooth, wireless, Ethernet. It's considered a measurement tool. It's not an intrusion detection system. We do talk about those later in the curriculum. It doesn't manipulate things on a network. It's just capturing packets so they can be examined in some way. Works with various operating systems. Know this. So I've had students in my classroom download Wireshark and start captures. And the next day, the IT person in my school came to my room and said, there's a lot of traffic happening on one of your workstations. And sure enough, they were alerted because of what students were doing. So, you know, if you're running it in a lab that's on your school network, just know if there's a lot of traffic, it's going to capture all that traffic if the student doesn't filter. And if it runs out of memory, Wireshark will crash. And so that's why working in the cyber range in a sandboxed environment is a good way to teach students about Wireshark. But, you know, if you do a capture the flag kind of activity, sometimes they'll talk about Wireshark and opening up files. So, you know, just be aware that it's better to be in a safe environment when you run it. There's also a tool that's in part of the Wireshark distribution called T-Shark. I've never used T-Shark, but I watched a video about it. That's all I can tell you. You can launch Wireshark from the terminal, but you can also open up the app. But if you open it from the terminal, and this is in the Wireshark lab, you have to use sudo if you're going to do a live capture. And so you'll get a little error message if you don't use that sudo command with it. So when you start a capture, you just select the interface. And so in the lab, they're going to be using the Ethernet card. So that's how you select what you're going to capture. You can either capture live traffic, or you can open up a capture file and look at previously captured data. Works both ways. In the Linux lab, students learn how to use Ifconfig. It's a good idea if you're ready to capture to know what your IP address is. And so that would be how students could find out what their IP address is when they look at the packets that they've captured. They can also get their MAC address. So the Ethernet interface, that's the MAC address. And you will see that when you start examining packets. And the Wireshark window basically looks like this. It lists the packets, and then it gives you some information where you can kind of decode it. And there's a byte view as well. A couple of things about filtering. There's two filters in Wireshark. All right. There is a capture filter, and there's also a display filter. And in the lab, we use both of these, but these are two different things. The capture filter is going to limit what traffic is captured. And the display filter is after you've captured packets, how you want to limit what you're looking at that's already been captured. So it's going to hide some of the packets is what it's going to do. And we use both of those, but those are two different features. And when you filter, you use the comparison operators. That many of you are teaching programming, so you're familiar with the comparison operators. And then there's a button to stop a capture, but you can also stop it under the toolbar button or Control+E. If you're interested in examining other capture files, here's a link. GitLab has capture files that you can grab and open up in Wireshark if you want to look at some other kinds of data. Packet coloring. there's some default colors, but you can also create your own coloring system. And then another big takeaway in this lesson is the fact that when we capture a packet, there is the actual data that's in the packet, and there's also the header. And so that would be one of the takeaways that we want students to learn from this lab. So we're not turning them into Wireshark experts in the lab. We're just, matter of fact, we'll look at the objectives of the lab in just a minute. There is some jargon in this lab. So TCP port 22 is for SSH. Port 3389 is the remote desktop protocol. We talk about DNS in this lab. We talk about HTTP traffic and TCP port 80. So that's some of the jargon that you want to be familiar with. We also talk about MAC addresses, which are the physical address that's assigned by the manufacturer to like a network interface card. IP addresses are the logical addresses. We look at the DNS traffic, and a DNS A record, the A stands for address, and that's just you know, how the DNS system tracks that connection between an IP address and a domain name. And HTTP comes up in the lab, as well as the GET command. And the GET command is just a method used to get a web resource. All right, so that's just a little bit on the jargon that comes up. So let's go look at the lab. And all this information came from Wireshark's website. They have a website that has great documentation. So if you want to run the lab yourself, you'll just need to open up the Cyber Basics environment and go on ahead and get that environment started. And let me open up and show you. So that presentation I just shared with you is in that folder. Also in that folder is this presentation called Intro to Wireshark, version 1.2. This is the slide presentation for teaching with. So let me go to the learning objectives. Yep. So in this lab, we just want students to know that there's this program called Wireshark that can capture live network traffic. We want them to capture some things. We want them to look at some packets. And basically, we want them to be able to identify how you can find DNS traffic and HTTP traffic. All right. So that's essentially what we're trying to do in this lab. And so in the lab with students, you would talk about, so what is Wireshark, right? And there's some slides that will take you through who uses Wireshark, why do they use Wireshark, the different ways that it operates. And then what they're actually going to do in the lab is capture some packets, use some filters. They're going to go to this DVWA website and capture the HTTP traffic on there. And when you run the lab, it's just a guided lab. So you're going to run the lab with your students. You can either use the PowerPoint presentation to guide them through the lab, or there's a Word document. And you can just give students the Word document to follow. So, you know, whichever works for you, use one, use both. It's strictly up to you. All right, so I'm connecting to the cyber range, hopefully. Up, and I've already loaded up that website. So there's two ways to launch Wireshark. You can go to applications, and under sniffing and spoofing, there's a link to Wireshark. If you get prompted for a password, it's student, and that's pretty typical when you're on the cyber range, if you ever have to authenticate in some way. You can also launch Wireshark through the terminal window, but you'll have to say sudo Wireshark, and the ampersand simply means run it in the background. So that's the syntax. So if you're following along, I'll hold up here just a minute. If you need a minute to get caught up to me.
Nancy?
Yes.
So when I clicked on sniffing and spoofing, I have some more choices. We're just clicking on Wireshark there.
Yep, that's all you need is Wireshark, and that should load up
Okay.
the app.
And the password is student.
Yes, that will get you
All
in.
right. Thank
And
you.
if you want to show students how they can launch it through the terminal window, you can, but you don't have to. That's up to you, whichever way you want to launch it. It's pretty easy just to find the application and start it that way. So first thing we have to do once we've launched Wireshark is we have to say, okay, what do we want to capture? And so we're going to capture in this lab the Ethernet traffic right there. And you start a capture just by clicking on the shark fin up there. So just like that, I'm capturing traffic. And to stop the capture, just hit the red square. And now I've stopped the capture. And now, just like that, I've got a lot of traffic, right? In just a matter of seconds, there's a lot of packets that get captured. And one of the things about being on the cyber range is a lot of this traffic is administrative traffic that we really are not interested in to do the lab. And so in the lab document, they tell you to filter out that stuff that we don't need to see. So let me find the slide where it comes up. That's all about launching. So right here, it talks about TCP ports 22 and 3389, that is really administrative traffic that we don't want. And so we want to filter out that stuff. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to go up to the capture menu, options, and right here where it says capture filter, we're going to say not port 3389 and not port 22. This is the filter for live captures. So that's why we have to go to capture options and put in there not port 3389 and not port 22. And in a minute, we will start a new capture and we're going to get rid of that traffic. So when I hit start now, it's going to say, "Ooh, do you want to continue without saving?" There's no reason to save that previous capture. So just say continue without saving. And now we're capturing again. And notice that there aren't a bunch of packets. We've eliminated those packets. So the next step in the lab, oh yes, go on ahead.
I just was going to ask, someone had a question in the chat. If they're stuck on, it's called worming, I guess, in the virtual lab.
Yes.
Do we just wait till it
yes.
warms up? I don't really know the answer to that. So I just wanted to draw your attention to it.
Yes, thank you, Sabrina. You know, sometimes the environments can take quite a while to load up. So one thing I would recommend is that in the classroom, while you're doing the presentation part, the pre-teaching, have your students going ahead and get that environment started. I've had it take as long as 20 minutes sometimes to get an environment going. And I see someone nodding their head there. Yes, that does happen.
I get them started. I start them up before class or before, and I've done it this year and it's only taken a minute or so to get them started.
Oh, good. Thank you, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anytime you've got a helpful hint, please share it. because I'm just, fumbling along the best I can in cybersecurity. In case you haven't figured that out, I'll own that right now. So the next thing we do in the lab is we want to launch a web browser to generate some traffic. So in the cyber range, you have Firefox available to you. You also have Safari in there, and I typically use Firefox. And this is where we're going to that website that only exists in the cyber range. So don't put in www, you just put in dvwa.example.com and hit enter. And it launches up this website that only exists, and some of you have already read that it is the damn vulnerable web application. That's what DVWA stands for. And once we've done that, we have generated enough traffic to do the lab. And so you can actually hit stop now. So now we've done our capture. And in the lab, it's going to take you through some steps to have students get under the hood a little bit with these packets. So if you just look at the alphabet soup of protocol acronyms, some of you might know what ARP is. It's a router protocol. I'm sure you all know what DNS is, right? The domain name system. There's a little DHCP protocol. And then the web traffic is all the TCP and HTTP traffic that you see. And you'll notice that things are nicely color coded, which is pretty helpful, I think. So right off the bat with the ARP, it's looking to see, it's routing. So it needs to know, well, who has this IP address? And if you want to have students open up a terminal and run Ifconfig, that's not a bad idea. It's not part of the lab, but it's a good idea just to reinforce the fact that, hey, there's your IP address, right? You should know what your IP address is in this lab as you're looking at traffic. So they can do that. And then we'll also be able to see the MAC address of the NIC. And so knowing that right there is pretty helpful too. So we don't have a lot of packets to look at here, but we could do some filtering here. We could say, I'd like to know what's on UDP port 53. So it's UDP.port = 53. And all it does is hide the other packets. And so now I'm looking at the packets that have to do with DNS. And as you click on those packets, you'll see there's queries, and some of these are going to say response, right? Because it's got to query a DNS server to find out an IP address for dvwa.com. And so you can go down here and expand the domain name system. And so you can see there's a query, and type A is for address. And there's a few of those in there. So I can click on this response. And let's see. This is another response down here. And so you can see the information about who responded, right? What server responded with that DNS information. And so that's the information that I can get by expanding the domain name system and looking at these packets that I've captured. So that's one of the goals of the lab, is to get students so that they can see where that information can be picked up in Wireshark. To remove that filter, just hit the X, and then we get all of our packets back. So if we wanted to look at just what's on TCP.port = 80, it's going to hide some packets again for us. And in the lab, it tells students to find the get command, to find the first get command for the HTTP traffic. So if you can look through your packets and find where it says get, if you right click and say follow TCP stream, what you'll see is ASCII text that shows the information where it used that get method to request a web resource. And so you can see who the host is, dvwa.example.com. You can see what browser was used, Mozilla version 5. You can see that it found the page because there's a little message down there that says 302 found. We know that the server that it came from is running the Apache software. So there's some good information in there. Matter of fact, what did it get? It got a login page that's using PHP. So that's the kind of information we can find once we find that get packet that we have captured. So that's one of the steps in the lab as well for students to find that information. And there's a few other questions in the lab where it asks them, you know, what web browser was used, where would you find that? I'm trying to remember what else is in the lab, but there's just a few. It asks them, how else could you filter besides under that TCP port 80? And they could do that by just typing in HTTP, and that will filter some of the traffic too. So there's only a few questions in the lab. That's because it's really meant to just be guided at this point. They'll come back to Wireshark in a later unit, but this just gets them to capture and analyze just a little bit packets. Yeah, and if you're wondering, what about those port numbers? Boy, just tell kids to Google search it. You know, there's lots of websites that give you that information. I think it's a good idea to have students go up to Ethernet and see that, oh, these are just MAC addresses here, right? We're not going to see IP addresses until we expand and look at IP. And then we start to pick up, oh, source and destination. And so I looked up my IP address, so I know that I was the source, right? And then the destination IP address is, you know, just an IP address on the US cyber range. You might need to tell students that, you know, results are going to vary, right? They're all going to have different IP addresses. So I'm going to pause there. Are there some questions? And I might not be able to answer them, just so you know.
So the MAC addresses that are there are, because we're using the range, they're not going to be like actual MAC addresses. These are just VM. And so they're not going to map to like, this is the manufacturer of the NIC.
That's a good question. Because it's a virtual machine, I don't know if they used actual, I don't know the answer to that. Does anybody know the answer to that?
Generally in virtual machines, you can set whatever MAC address you want.
Okay.
That's why that's in your OSI model. That's one way that you can hack a MAC address.
Thank you, John.
What it was saying in the, it actually tells you in Wireshark, this is not the factory default. So.
Good point. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, Nancy, I've got a question. I was just going through the lab kind of a little bit before you started going through it. And I got to the point where I was down, it's, I don't know, on page 5, the top of page 5, top of page 4, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And it says we're applying some, so we do the first filter. And we clear the previous display filter. And then it says type these commands one at a time, stopping to observe what happens to each filter. Where do they type those commands at?
Yeah, so that is, I believe, yeah, if it uses the double equals,
Yeah.
it's referring to not the live capture, but the capture file. And so it's right up here where you would
Oh,
type.
hold on, I gotta go back. Okay.
Yep.
So where is it at? Can you show me again?
Yep. So
Well, you type it up there and that's.
yes, so right up here, I could say TCP port. And you can even combine them and use your ands and ors.
Right.
So when I type that in, I hit enter, and then it hides the other packets in that I've captured. So this is not the live capture, but filtering what I've already captured. That other filter is under capture options, and that's right. And that's where you would go before you do a live capture if you want to be careful in what you are actually picking up.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Is there a list of what the virtual machine can access? Let's see, you were going to DVAP, but I also noticed that I could reference the Cali website, which I think is outside of the outside of the virtual machine or that virtual network.
Yeah, so you've got a web browser when you're in the Cyber Basics environment. Yep, see you, Mark. So yeah, you could go to other sites. I think just to limit the amount of packets that students are looking at, the lab is set up to have them use that DVWA website, and you'll use that website in some other labs as well. And I think it's just to limit. All right, so we are at the end of the hour, and I don't want to keep people longer. But if you have some questions, feel free to reach out to me or Beth or Diane or any of the fellow teachers that you've met, because we want to develop a community where we share resources and help each other get kids excited about cybersecurity. Any parting thoughts? Oh, yes. Thank you, Sue. Because this is really important, right? When you finish up a lab, you want students to quit Wireshark. They don't need to save anything. If they have a terminal window open, it's a good idea to hit exit on the terminal window. And then in the upper right-hand corner, they log out. And so when they hit log out, it says log out. Yes, that's what I want to do. And hit log out again. And then it tells you to close that window. And then you need to stop the environment. So just hit the square so that you stop that environment. And then once you have your classes set up, you can monitor that to make sure. And Beth had some good information about removing environments that aren't being used so that students don't go in there and do stuff. Ashley's nodding her head yes. You really have to keep an eye on those kinds of things. All right, thank you for attending tonight. Good luck. And the next help session is October 25th.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nancy. Very
you're
helpful.
welcome.
Thank you very much, Nancy. That was great.
Yep.
Hi, Nancy.
Hey, Diane.
Nancy, I just sent you an email. Is it possible, since the website is down, to get an email version of Unit 2?
Yes. Now, it might be pretty big to email, but what Google does is it creates a link to it.
Okay.
How about if I do this? Do you have access to that folder I shared today that has all of the help session folders in it?
I don't. I actually also emailed you that my district has our groups turned off. So I sent you my personal email if you could add me to that.
All right, I'm going to add your personal email, and then I'm going to put that zip file up to that Google folder. And then you can just, and you only need Unit 2 right now?
Yes, we're just finishing Unit 1 this week.
Okay, I will do that for you. And what was your first name? Yolanda, right?
Yolanda, yes.
Okay, great. I will take care of that this evening.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nancy, great job.
Ah, you're kind. You're too kind.
No, you're awesome. This was great. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Somebody had a question and I did not know what to say. So I was just.
No, it's too difficult for me to watch the chat. And think about what I'm trying to teach. So I was ignoring the chat, and I really appreciate you doing that for me.
Yeah, sure. I was able to, somebody asked about like a deeper dive into ports, and I told them that I knew that Unit 4 had the advanced port scanning, but you would probably know more about that. She said she wanted a deeper dive into ports. So I said, I know Unit 4 has that, but other than that, I'm sure there are other things. I just didn't know them off the top of my head.
Okay. Oh, good. Thank you for that. That was a good answer.
Okay. I know ports come up in like the Unit 5 and the keylogger and again in like botnet or something, but I thought advanced port scanning was probably the most accurate.
Yes.
Okay. I'm learning, Nancy. I'm like, I don't know any of this stuff. So I was trying to keep up with people in the chat because I knew you were teaching a lesson and you were great.
Yeah. So yes, thank you. And you know what? I've not done all of the labs yet. So there are questions people will have that I will defer to those who have.
Okay. Okay. All right.
All right. Well, we're meeting in the morning, right?
Yes, I will see you then.
All right. See ya.
Okay. Bye-bye.